In this video, I would like to introduce you to the basics of working with sound on set. Everyone has to start somewhere and sometime. However, not everybody has a mentor or a person that they can talk to about the world of sound recording. This book has been available online for some time. I had the pleasure to talk to its author, PATRUSHKHA MIERZWA, and on the occasion of this conversation, I wanted to get as much information as possible about our work. And if this is your first time here, subscribe to my channel and visit my Discord. I want to build a community that exchanges information, solves problems together and helps each other. The link is in the description. Let's begin. My name is Kuba, you know me as Cactus Sound, and I've been running this channel for over a year. However, so far I haven't had the pleasure to talk to someone that interesting. Dear friends, PATRUSHKHA MIERZWA.
Hi, my name is PATRUSHKHA MIERZWA. I live in Los Angeles, and I am one of the first women boom operators in Hollywood, starting in 1980. And I currently boom, and I also do utility sound technician work.
What made you start writing this book?
I wrote the book Behind the Sound Cart, a veteran's guide to sound on the set, because we often have interns on our shows, and one of them had finished a 4-year program. It had been very costly for her family. And by the 3rd day, she said, I haven't learned any of this. I realized I don't know how to be on a set. I don't understand the etiquette. I don't know all the gear you're using or the accessories. And I never learned about any other department either. And I was shocked. No one had ever been on a set to explain how things work, and I just thought that was criminal. And I wanted everyone who wants to be in the film business or television business to have some opportunity without having to rely on schools that don't seem to be teaching the craft.
Since when it is available, where we can buy it, and what reviews do you get about it?
My book is available in several places. Amazon. It's also available on Goodreads. It's available at your local bookstore. You can request it, or request that your local library or film school library purchase a few lending copies for students. And the reviews have been tremendous. Everyone around the globe has responded so positively. I really intended it for someone just starting in the sound department. I really tried to make it conversational and easy to understand. A lot of film work is not just the craft, but it's how you relate to people in your department, how you relate to directors, actors, celebrities, how you handle all those interactions are going to give people an indication of what your experience is and what your potential may be. So it's very important to understand your job and technical aspects of it. But like everything in the arts, there's an element of technical, but it's more than that. You know, there's a creative element to everybody's job on a set.
Okay, now let's talk about our job. I usually work as one-man band, and your role is quite different. So this will be interesting for me for sure. Let's start with on-set sound department. Can you please explain the names and roles?
There isn't just one way to configure a sound department. You could be working on a documentary, in which case maybe you're a one-man band. You are the mixer, the boom operator, you're the entire department in one person. Maybe you're doing reality, in which case you are usually a mixer and you're radio micing all kinds of people who then run around, and it's a different configuration. If you're on a television show, you could have a mixer who's the head of the department who runs the recording cart, and then you'll have a boom operator who's on the set. That is your on-set representative for the sound department, who will be working closely with camera, with the director, with the script supervisor, and the actors, and always needing to be on the set and close to watch as things happen, and then comment or make modifications based on that. The utility sound technician is a term that was coined by producers in America for the position, and it's essentially the best boy of a department. It's a support position for the boom operator and the mixer. The utility sound tech could jump in and do either of those two jobs in a pinch, but is also responsible mainly for wiring actors while the boom operator stays on the set, interfacing with other departments, moving the gear, prepping the gear, wrapping the gear. If there's specialty gear that's needed, the utility sound tech is going to call the equipment house, order whatever it is they need, expendables, a Fisher boom, any kind of special music gear, and coordinate that with if you need extra people for either large crowd scenes or music. The utility sound tech is making all that happen. Also responsible for paperwork on the show, loss and damage, equipment moving, and all the inventory expendables, any interaction with the ADs about scheduling actors, making sure that they're ready or they have some time to work out some special piece of equipment, either a music rehearsal or in-ear monitors or anything like that. So it's a myriad of jobs, and you're always multitasking.
What basic knowledge should we have to start working with sound on set?
It's a tough question because it really depends on the project and the makeup of the department. In the United States, we have an apprenticeship program, and you come on and you're paid to learn on the job. And it could be so many things that you need to do. I think certainly as much an understanding of sound and equipment that you can muster by the time that you have an opportunity to be on the set. But more important than that are people skills and the ability to multitask, to ask questions if you don't understand something. In the beginning, don't assume, because it's just harder on everyone if you get something wrong. So most sound people will say, just ask, don't be afraid, and it may take one or two times to remember things. Always take a little notebook and write down answers so that you can reflect on them later, and you don't have to memorize everything in the moment. Be a good person, be a kind person, be willing to jump in. I think that's the most important attribute. It's okay if you don't know things. We're all learning, and it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. I started in 1980. You're always going to have a situation you've never run into before. Every project's different. Every group of people is different. You have to stay open and be willing to learn and be willing to collaborate and be the kind of person that someone wants to work with for a very long day.
What things are the most important to practice between jobs?
I think you always want to be taking care of yourself, and that means getting enough sleep, getting exercise. Keep yourself ready and having some capacity to work those long hours. And get to know yourself. I've learned over time I'm really not good at nights, and it doesn't matter how much sleep I get or what my age is. My body just isn't geared that way, so I have to take extra steps to learn how to sleep in the daytime, or I've learned to take part of my lunch break and get a nap or do some kind of stretching, something that will help relax me so that I can kind of tap into any energy reserves I have. Those kinds of things are what's going to help you avoid an accident on the set or driving home, and they're going to keep you in your best shape possible to be able to do the work.
We know that we can send a signal via cable or wireless. So when you are booming, do you prefer cable or wireless connection? Is booming on cable that much safer in case of signal drops and the sound quality?
We can boom either by wireless or cabled. When I started in the business, there was only cabling, and there's a bit of an art to managing that cable. In the beginning, yes, there were issues with wireless technology, but it's evolved so much. I really can't remember the last time I used a cable. It's faster to go wireless. I can put down a pole, I can run and wire actors. I've got mobility, and these days I've noticed that there are multiple cameras and more involved shots and Steadicam work. You really don't want to have a cable that could potentially trip up people or yourself, or just have an extra person who's wrangling that cable. So I have found wireless to be a very solid technology that has held up in all kinds of situations.
What are the biggest problems you had with wireless setups?
I really haven't had any big problems with wireless setups. I think if anything, it would be remoting the antenna to a position that would work for the entire scope of the action. But it really hasn't been too big of a problem. And these days, because you can get transmitters that are also recorders, if anybody gets outside of range, you're still going to have that track. In fact, on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tex, a cowboy, jumps on a horse and has to go quite a distance to go get help and then come back. And he went so far out of range that we actually wired him two ways. I had a regular lav and microphone on him, and then I also put a recording transmitter on him, and we ran both of them because we just weren't sure how far our antenna would get and at what point he would talk if he was going to. And it worked out great. As it is, he was so bent, concentrating on riding the horse safely and quickly, that we just have his breath, but it's there. And that gives flexibility when you're not sure exactly what the action will be or how far you'll be.
Can you name your dream setup, or you think there is none?
Oh, interesting question. I don't really think of an equipment setup, but I think my dream is to be on another Quentin Tarantino movie. There is no one kinder, more fluent in film, more fun to be with. There were days when I went home and my cheeks hurt. I'd been laughing so much from stories. He loves to tell stories. He loves to have a welcoming feel on the set, and everybody is like that. It's really quite magical.
What should be in beginner UST or boom operator bag? Any essential gear to have?
There's a lot. I would say please refer to my book. I really gave it a lot of thought, and I'd hate to miss anything right now, but I can tell you that you're going to want a pair of work gloves. I like my gloves. I get them from a hardware store. They're thin enough that I can break cable connections without having to take them off or fumble around. But they protect me when I'm wrapping cable in the dirt, and I can always keep my hands clean if I have to adjust a wire on a microphone. So I think just find some gloves that can do a lot for you. Also, you're going to want some kind of a bag on your belt, or K-Tech makes a hip belt pack that has lots of pockets, so you can put GAC and all kinds of accessories. We call it GAC. And microphones, some tools that you're going to need to adjust your radio microphones, or a pocket knife, a small light, those kinds of things that you're always going to want to reach for. Something to test electrical outlets with before you plug in sound equipment. Never assume that the power you have at a location or a studio is safe for you and that it's properly grounded. So always make sure that you understand where your power source is coming from and whether you can use the power from the facility, or you need to go through your company's electric department. You always want a hat, a change of clothing, certainly a change of shoes. That can help your feet, and your shoes will wear longer if you can trade them out and give them a break. And then what's the weather that you're going to have on the show? You really want to be protected for rain, cold, and usually the temperature in the morning or the end of the day is different than your working temperature. So always have those things ready, some sunscreen protectors for you and the equipment.
I guess the thing that sound crew says the most on the set is sound speeds. But are there any other words, slogans that every beginner should know?
Interesting question. Yes, we say sound speeds, but we also say hold, wait, copy that. It's a very succinct way to tell somebody that you understood the message. I try never to say problem. We have opportunities for creative resolution, or we have situations. I never want to say there's a problem, because that starts a discussion in a different way than just saying, here's something that's going to need to be worked out. When you say, we have a situation, that's neutral. It's not anybody's fault. Nobody did anything wrong. If you say there's a problem, people will start associating you or your department with problems, whether or not they really are problems. If that's how you're going to describe it, that's how they're going to remember it. So I would say be careful about using that word. There really aren't problems on a set. There's just a lot of competing elements, or there are a lot of considerations, to get to the place where we can actually shoot this scene. Everyone has things in their department, parameters or physical objects or limitations of equipment, whatever it is. But it certainly isn't a problem until you say it is.
How do you remember your first job on set?
I got a call to do some pickups for a feature film. They didn't want to go to India, which is where they shot the film. They decided to go to Hawaii, and did I want to go for a week and shoot little bits of waterfalls and what have you? And that was my dream job. So of course I said yes. And we got there and we slept in the morning, and the editor came in a van and just took about 6 of us around. And it was lovely. And I did shoot waterfalls, only to realize, oh, I really have to pay attention to the directionality of the microphone, because that makes a huge difference with your signal to noise ratio and those actor voices over that. And we shot the last shot of the movie was the lead character on a hill, and they were going to have this music come up. It was going to be a grand vision of what this subject of the film had done with his life. And I needed to put a radio mic on him, and I thought, no problem. There's an ocean on one side, there's a jungle on the other side, and there's nobody around. And I had interference, and I couldn't figure it out, and the mixer said, run up to the very top of the hill and look all around and see what you see. And as soon as I got to the top of the hill, I saw a radio station antenna, and I realized that it was just out of my line of sight. And here I thought we were in the middle of nowhere, and we were right next to a very powerful transmission signal. So that taught me never assume and always look around so that you really understand the situation that you're shooting in. So I'll never forget that.
Is there anything you want to say to people that want to follow your path and start working with sound on set?
Yes, to anybody who's thinking about sound, absolutely. Try it. Try everything in life when you can. You just never know what's going to click with you. It was not something I ever thought I would do. My parents, no one I knew was in the film business. I didn't live anywhere near Los Angeles, and I didn't come to Los Angeles thinking I was going to work in film. But things happen, and you say yes to situations, and you get pleasantly surprised. So give it a shot. Find somebody who's willing to talk to you, train you, or at least let you come and shadow them on a set. Get a copy of my book, which will help you understand what the job is and the kind of lifestyle that it's like working on film and television. There's a lot to it, and you'll get to know, are you the right personality for that kind of work? If you're a woman, don't think that you can't do it or that you're not strong enough. It isn't true. You need to give yourself an opportunity to learn, and no one comes to the job being able to boom effortlessly. It isn't a thing that humans do naturally. So exercise, work up to it, practice at home. I ended up hiring somebody who had never been on a set, who had watched people but never done any sound work. But he wanted to be a boom operator, and he would just hold a broom over his parents' heads at dinner. He would practice moving and doing what he could to replicate that without being on a set. It was his enthusiasm, not that he came to the first job experienced or capable. He was terrible. I wanted to fire him every day the first week. But you understand that you're in for the long haul, and take a breath. Don't let yourself get distracted by your inability to do something. Concentrate on getting better and wanting to be better and wanting to be helpful to whatever is on the set or whatever's being asked of you. That's what really makes a difference. And that's what ultimately is going to get you offered jobs. Good luck. Tell me all about it. Find me on Facebook.
Now, if we encouraged you to know more about working on set or start working on set, you should definitely buy this book. I am not getting any money for this, I just consider it as a must-have. There will be a link in the description so you can quickly grab one. Again, I would like to thank Patrushka for her time. I hope you had a good time watching this video and that we all learned something. Remember to subscribe, leave a like, say hi to Patrushka in the comments, and until next time.